This is KGW News at Sunrise.
Good morning. Thanks for getting up with us on this Sunday. I'm Tim Gordon. This morning on Sunrise, Governor Kate Brown invokes the Emergency Conflagration Act in response to the Double Creek fire. We hear from state fire officials. Some in Wallowa County are forced to evacuate. Plus, a new TriMet line is about ready to roll into Portland, and it involves some pretty big buses. We'll take a look at the improvement for commuters. But before we get to all that, let's check in with Chris McGinnis for a quick look at the Sunday forecast. Chris?
Good morning, Tim. Hard to improve on the weather from yesterday, right? At least in the afternoon, the sun finally came out. We had a beautiful day yesterday, and today, our Rose City sky camera, check this out. Look at the bottom of Big Pink there, starting to glow just a little bit. And the reason why is because, well, the sun's not up, but it's reflecting a little bit of that pre-dawn glow in the eastern sky. No cloud cover over downtown Portland. So with that in mind, we're clear at the airport right now, 60 degrees at PDX. Elsewhere across the region, it's 52 in Hillsborough. Big picture across the state, the Dalles. Doesn't that feel good? It's 59 right now in the Dalles. I think yesterday it was near 70 at this time. All right, we are watching some cloud cover offshore. That will approach later this afternoon. So the north coast will probably start to cloud up around lunchtime. We'll probably see some high, thin, fair weather clouds moving in late in the day, but not before high temperatures work their way into the low 80s. So really nice looking Sunday forecast, Tim.
For sure, Chris. Thanks. Did feel a little cooler this morning. Very nice. We could use that too. 38 active fires are burning across the state of Oregon this morning. Governor Kate Brown has now cleared the way for the state fire marshal to provide more resources to fire crews. KGW's Art Edwards tells us about two of the largest fires burning right now.
The Double Creek fire, burning in Wallowa County in northeast Oregon, is threatening some buildings and has forced evacuations. It prompted Governor Brown to issue an Emergency Conflagration Act. That frees up more firefighting resources.
As soon as we get that emergency order for conflagration, that's when our incident management teams and those trucks, firefighters are moving just as quick as they can. And so, right, we are going to work as hard as possible, pay attention to the weather, and try to protect as many folks as we can and as many properties as we can.
The Rum Creek fire in southern Oregon also continues to burn. It's consumed more than 18,000 acres so far. A lightning strike started the fire on August 17th. Right now, it's about 17% contained. The Oregon National Guard joined the firefighting effort. The weather has changed. A cold front moved in, and that's created a challenge.
Cold fronts help moderate the temperature, they help moderate the weather, but there are big winds that bring the cold fronts in. And so when those cold fronts are coming in, it's a watch out for our firefighters on the ground because it means high winds. It really tested the lines on Rum Creek. Those lines held, but it did increase significantly the fire behavior on Double Creek.
Air quality is also impacted. The football game between North Medford and West Linn, scheduled for North Medford, was moved to Eugene. This weekend, fire officials hope people exercise caution.
We can't control the lightning, but we can, as humans, do our absolute best to prevent the fires that are human caused.
Now, there are nearly 3,000 people working to get control of those two biggest fires here in Oregon.
Just leave. It's your home. I understand that. I've been evacuated, but it's not worth your life.
In Weed, California, about 4,000 people are under evacuation orders because of the mill fire. Now, Weed is about an hour and a half outside of Medford to the south. So far, about 100 homes and other structures have been lost, and 2 people have been hurt. Officials say a major transmission line in Weed was damaged during that fire, leaving about 10,000 people in the region without power and internet. Cooling centers have been set up for those affected. Fred Ruzek is at one of those shelters. He explains that he packed up everything, including his 2 dogs, during the evacuation.
We see a bunch of orange and gray smoke coming up after us. And we knew this is not good with this wind blowing this way. And about 10 minutes later, we got the message to leave immediately.
Now, officials in Weed are now working to downgrade evacuation orders to warnings. Right now, the fire has burned more than 4,000 acres and is 25% contained. And now to our homeless crisis and initial results from a massive housing bond voters passed 2 years ago. The tax money is allocated to help people get off the streets and into housing. It's a 10-year effort and results from year one. They just came in. Blair Best breaks down the results.
It's a crisis shaping cities across the region.
This is a regional housing and homelessness crisis. It's not unique to any one particular community in the region. It's affecting everybody.
In May of 2020, voters approved a 10-year effort to address chronic homelessness throughout the Tri-County area. It's called the Metro Supportive Housing Fund, which comes from incremental taxes on high-income earners and large businesses. It started in January 2021 and is overseen by Metro. They were expecting to get $180 million in the first fiscal year, but they ended up getting more than $200 million. Patricia Rojas, Metro's regional housing director, says they've spent about $56 million. The rest will roll over into the coming years.
We are expecting much, much more. So I think something to keep in mind is that this is our first year. And so I think we have a lot more doing and building to look forward to.
So far, they've housed 1,129 people in Multnomah County, 340 in Washington, and 170 in Clackamas. More than 9,000 people in Multnomah County received eviction protection, and 66 in Washington. They've also opened 514 new year-round shelter beds across the entire region. However, Clackamas County didn't use all the money that was allocated to them.
We are paying attention, and for example, in Clackamas County, they're underspent, and so we're going to be working with Clackamas and the Oversight Committee to make sure that they are on path to spend down and to spend the allocation that they receive for this next fiscal year.
So walk me through this, and for people at home who might not know how this works, you have over $200 million, and you get someone into housing. What are you actually paying for? What is that money going towards?
That is a great question. The funding can go to any type of service that helps a person on their journey to exit homelessness.
That includes things like case managers, long-term rental assistance, behavioral health services, and new shelter beds, just to name a few.
Once you get someone into housing, how do you ensure that they stay there and they don't go back out on the street, say, a year later?
Absolutely. That's a great question. You know, folks need varying degrees of support after they're housed.
To keep people housed, they have what's called permanent supportive housing, which provides people like Jessica Perry, who's been homeless for 9 years, with financial help and employment, so she keeps her apartment.
That probably is what stops most homeless people from switching out housing or trying to get into a place, because it's very daunting.
Money from the Metro Supportive Housing Fund just paid for Perry's first and last month's rent and moving fees. She says it was about $5,000.
I know I couldn't have gotten into a place without that initial start.
Now she works full-time at Cultivate Initiatives and pays her own rent each month.
I wake up every day and I love coming to work. I wake up ready to go. And I mean, I hadn't worked in 9 or 10 years at this point, and I love it. I love being able to go home and pay my bills and, you know, just enjoy my being inside and all the awesome little perks that come with it that you don't realize are important until you don't have them.
This work is about human beings, and every human being out there has a story.
Well, Metro's 10-year goal is to house at least 5,000 people experiencing homelessness and to help at least 10,000 who are either newly homeless or at extreme risk of becoming homeless. We'll be right back.